situated here. We got a new desk chair in the home
Oh,
office at my parents' house, and I'm just trying to adjust to it.
all right, folks. We're getting ready to go live on YouTube with Dockside of the Bay, Dockside at the Bay, um, and we are waiting for the Gremlins over at YouTube to put the link up or put the feed up so that I can go ahead and share the link and get us over to live. And let's see. All right, we are just about there. All right, and sharing it over to Twix. And ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dockside at the Bay.
Hello, everyone.
This is Tim, and today is we're not even in August anymore. It's September 3rd. It's September 3rd.
August flew by, and yes, now we're in September, and I don't even know what day of the week it is. It's been crazy.
And just a quick programming note, we will not be here next week. My schedule is a little hectic next week. We're not going to be here. No Suds News, no Dockside. But after that, when we come back, it'll be full press, full court press,
Yep.
and no Suds News and Dockside at the Bay. But also, we will be starting Take Me Down to Studio City, as well as Angela Answers Fan Mail. And who knows, maybe we'll even get in a Squared Circle News a couple of episodes too. For those of you that do enjoy the wrestling content, go over to Chair Shot Sports on YouTube because I've been doing some preview shows with that crew, and I did one last week for NXT's it was NXT Heatwave as well as the Bash in Berlin. So that is up over there. It was NXT No Mercy, not Heatwave. Sorry about that. Anyways, I do want to let everybody know we are an official affiliate for WWE Shop, which is a Fanatics experience. So go over to suds-media.com/wrestling merch, and that has our affiliate link in that URL. Whatever you buy gives us a commission, and it helps out with the show. And as you can tell, we do have a new website, suds-media.com. A lot less to type, a lot easier to remember, and I'm in the process of updating it. So Kim will have her bio and picture up there soon. Angela will as well, and then we're gonna keep on trucking with that. Anyways, got a lot to talk about with these two episodes of The
Oh,
Bay.
yes, we definitely do.
Over episodes 11 and 12 of season 3. Um, Two completely different types of episodes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we were, discussing just even before we started taping. We have first episode of the set, doesn't even take place in court. I mean, it's all kind of pivoting around and circling around it, but we don't even really get any court scenes. And then obviously the following episode, it just launches right back into that world with some twists and some turns and just keeps us guessing and keeps us curious. And
Yep.
yeah, no, definitely a lot going on, but definitely a contrast too.
Very much so. I really like, let's kind of get started. I mean, obviously, we're going to be at the beach for a lot of the time for this first episode,
Hmm.
but we kind of see, Pete and Vivian and Daniel and Avery kind of just hanging out, taking a day
Yeah.
away from court, going to the beach. And then all of a sudden, in the distance, Pete sees Adam and
Yeah.
asks Vivian, "Is that Adam?" And she's like, "Oh, yeah, I invited him. He doesn't know anybody here, and he's here for the trial, so why not?"
Yeah, it comes from a really sweet place, given the fact that they had just he had kind of crashed the party, well, not crashed the party, but showed up at their house with the tequila. And
Yep.
she's just trying to kind of further that sort of, bonding session, what have you, that they had that evening. But she ends up kind of regretting that choice as
Yes.
the episode progresses, and we see sides of Adam that are just, rivaling almost Steve in terms of level of, just kind of creepy interloper presence that
Yeah.
just, kind of casts a shadow on everything
Oh yeah, absolutely.
and stirs up the drama.
It does. It stirs up the drama. And then so not only is Adam there, but also Riley.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know who invited Riley. Was it Avery or
It almost was like she just kind of showed up and was just kind of like, oh yeah, I'm here too, guys. It wasn't,
exactly?
I don't know if it was necessarily an invite, but I mean, she's just kind of like, palling around with them. And you've got, Pete and Viv all like in matchmaker mode, which was kind of funny. It's like all of a sudden they're just like, ooh, hey, pretty blonde. Oh, hey, there's a pretty blonde boy. Let's put them together and see what
Yeah,
happens. And, you get that tension just kind of kicking up right away because you have like, poor Daniel just like trying to like roll with it, but Avery in protective mode, given
yes,
everything that she knows. So you can feel that tension starting to build even in those scenes when Riley comes in and they're trying for that setup. Then you have Adam in the mix as well, and it
yeah,
just eventually all boils over. But I love how they just kind of make it a casual day at the beach, and then it just escalates until it gets to a point where it's just like not a fun day at the beach anymore, guys.
right. Well, I mean, I did like how Adam is you're seeing the jealousy in
Oh
Adam.
yeah, for sure.
Just from the very beginning when they go to the surf shop because Avery and Daniel say they're going to rent surfboards,
Hmm.
and Adam goes with them, and then they're talking about who's going to pay for this, and Adam's like, "Oh, Pete will."
Yeah, he pisses away like that on a cup of coffee, that amount of money. Like it's no big deal for him. You just see like that he's got all this like, pent up resentment that's just coming out in like these fun little, and he gets in like these little jibes and these little like, comments and
Yeah,
it just escalates like the tension and you just feel uncomfortable and you're just like it's almost cringy every time
yeah,
that he like pipes up or speaks up,
yeah,
which
very much so.
testament to the acting and the writing because you just kind of want to like throttle this character a little bit. But it's also like he's coming from a place of just like, he's been the, not favorite golden boy child. And, he could have had this entire situation, but, luck of the draw, he did not.
I want to see when the time comes, like, because obviously we know that Adam and Pete are brothers.
Hmm.
We know that um Arthur is their father.
Hmm.
I want to know where Adam grew up and how he came to Arthur.
I will say this much, like it's kind of fun going back in because I honestly kind of forgot some of the details
Yep.
and when it came to this character, and picking back up those pieces and trying to like, solve the puzzle for him. I honestly kind of, it slipped my mind, like this character's kind of origin and everything like that. And I know that it unfolds. So it's kind of
Right.
fun going back, watching it all this time later and just being like, it's still so ambiguous at this point. Like we know as an audience, but we don't know a lot at the same time, and they just
Yeah.
keep on teasing it out, teasing it out.
And it's slowly unfolding right before our eyes. Like
For sure,
it,
for sure. And we even got the little snippet, with Paradise, and we got that little flashback, just briefly, which just like, it just kind of whets your appetite for like that part of the story. Like you want to know, okay, so it's young Tobin, young Sara. What
yeah,
went down aside from them being hot for each other in this cabin in the middle of, or,
right.
on the beach in the middle of nowhere? And it's like, it's just a little teaser, but it just shows obviously they were, pretty infatuated with each other. But that's
Yeah,
all we get. It's
exactly.
just enough to keep you guessing and wanting to know more. So,
No, you're absolutely right. And but what's fun is that it's actually Sara remembering the time with
hmm,
Arthur.
yep,
So
flashing back on it.
exactly. So
And I
that
love how she's flashing on it, and then as soon as like, end flashback, and Lex just walks right in, and Lex is
yeah,
just all like, "Hey, we're let's just go out and take a day off from court and all of that." But she's like, in the meantime, having flashback to a very passionate romantic moment with father of her child.
right. And then Arthur comes right in.
Hmm.
And he's
Yep.
like, I know I should have called first, but I just got the smoking gun that's going to prove your innocence. And it's
Yeah. So just this, just involved, but just going from, you have Lex trying to like guide her through this whole court case thing, and then you have Tobin kind of coming in and just all these little like surprises. He's like the surprise character with her. It's like every time they interact, it's always like some new revelation, some new
yeah,
little thing has to crop up.
which makes sense considering he's her lawyer. So,
Yes.
the only time, and because of the tension between the two,
Hmm.
it's going to be like the only time they really interact is when it comes to the case.
Yep. I mean, she
Unless,
even says, or he even says, like, I know that, like, I'm only supposed to be, or I'm not supposed to be here, but this is important. It's relating to the case. Like, he knows he's not supposed to show up uninvited. And, even that conversation with Lex and Sara when they're out, on their little lunch date, what have you, when she's just kind of discussing how, like, she hasn't even thought about him in years, and all of a sudden he's defending her. And we get like a little glimmer into, like, he wanted to paint her.
yeah,
He was an artist. He was a young romantic guy. What does she call him? An Italian stallion?
yeah,
At one point, like, she just, alludes to the fact that, like, she was young and running away from a difficult time in her life. And even Lex acknowledges, like, you're both lost in love and chasing after certain parts of your lives. And, it's a powerful combination. And she even says, like, yeah, I was drunk on love. Like, it's just sounds
yeah.
like a really, like, torrid, crazy affair thing that they had, but we still don't really know exactly how it all shook out that Adam and Pete were just kind of separated, and why that's, like, it's like we know
Right.
stuff, but we don't know stuff.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's going to be fun when they finally, I'm assuming it's going to be next season when they flesh that out.
Yeah.
Or
Well, we
maybe,
do keep on
who knows?
having Sara say too that she has to get up and tell her story.
Yeah.
So, like, that's like been her through line, like wanting to get up on the stand, even though everyone's telling her not to. So it's that's a ripe opportunity for them to just kind of start, like, teasing out some flashback and stuff like that too, and just hearing more exactly
Right.
what went
Which,
down back then.
in my opinion, makes no sense. And I would advise her against it too,
Oh yeah. No,
because,
you've basically got it in the bag with the court,
yeah,
with Mickey and everything, plus the fact that Joe was, exposed as, perjuring herself on the stand.
yep.
If I was her lawyer, I'd be tempted to be like, I might just quit. If you decide to do this, like, what are you thinking, woman? Like, but come on, you got to have a scene with Mary Beth Evans just up there testifying, because it's like, yeah, you need that. You need Sara to tell her story. It's like, but in the real world, yeah, I worked for a law firm for a brief amount of time. I'm pretty sure that, that would strongly be advised against.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Before we go any further, I do want to thank everybody for tuning in last night to our Suds News episode. One of the most watched episodes of Suds News ever. And I do want to just say, if you haven't watched it yet, after you're done watching this show, go to Suds News from last night, September 2nd, and it's literally entitled, I'm getting rid of the season one, episode one, or whatever. I'm just going to go with the title. You'll know based upon the podcast number what season and episode it is. But the fact is, it's literally called Suds News Representation Matters. And we had a great guest on, Brittany Bauschek or Boshek. Again, I'm going to butcher that name until the end of time. But on Twix, she's at Huntress0991. We had a great conversation, her, Angela, and I, regarding the representation in soaps. We didn't actually bring up the Bay, but we did bring up Days. We brought up Young and the Restless, um, Bold and Beautiful, and GH, and a lot of it just centered around the abrupt letting go of Jacqueline Grace Lopez, who played Blaze, and breaking up that craze pairing with Christina, just so abruptly. That's where it kind of stemmed out of. And the one thing I will announce, I did announce on the show yesterday, but as well tonight on this show, is we will never join into the save this person's job, or bring this person back or anything. We'll spotlight certain issues with certain decisions that are made behind the scenes, but we don't work behind the scenes, so we can't, know what's going on. We know that Kelly Monaco is leaving GH, but for us to jump on the bandwagon of no Kelly, no GH is just stupid, because we're not behind the scenes. She's one of the highest paid characters on the show, and she's also, and she's also not had a lead story in a number of years with a minimum count of under 60 episodes a year. So, of course, she's probably one of the higher paid. She's going to be let go. It's just business, and it gives her an opportunity to go to another soap opera if they choose. So,
Hey,
we
maybe she'll show up on the bay.
and that would be great. That would be fantastic. So, Gregory Kelly Monaco is going to be available. Bring her on. She'd be fantastic get for the Bay. I really think so.
Yeah, well,
But
for
I
sure.
did want to point that out. We don't take sides. We watch the show for the show, not for a specific character or a specific relationship. That to me is not a true fan, you know, in my opinion. Not knocking anybody's fandom per se, but if we watch the show for the show, not
Yeah.
for specific.
And if the show is good enough and it's got enough drama going on, you focus on that. You don't need to necessarily focus on the behind the scenes. You can focus on the drama that's happening out, playing out on your screen right in front of you. So,
Exactly. Exactly right. All right. So again, let's kind of get back to where we were on the Bay. Um, I, I had a laugh at the just the way that on the beach you had, obviously you had Pete and Vivian paired off.
yep.
You had Daniel kind of playing around with Riley, and then Avery was on the phone with um uh
Damien?
Damien. Damien,
Yes.
yeah. And then Adam's kind of just looking and he's kind of feeling like he's the odd person out.
Yeah. Because in a way, he is kind of like the proverbial third wheel in all of this, I mean, he gets invited, but, even while he's like, sitting there, the way that they like kind of were shooting some of that, it was cool because you have like, even have that moment where like Pete like picks Vivian up and like brings her into the water or
Yeah,
whatever. And then you have Daniel just like trying to like make nice with Riley after he dumped the smoothie on her and being a big joker and all of that. And then you just have Adam just kind of looking off in the distance, just seeing everything. And it's like everyone is kind of involved. And then you have this guy who's just kind of like there, just kind of observing everything. And you could tell he's just not in the happiest of places.
yeah. And that part you said it was a smoothie that Daniel spilled on
I
Riley.
thought it was something
Some kind
when
of
he's
drink or something.
yes, like it looked like they all had like smoothies, drinks, whatever it was. She was just like, "I'm all sticky," and then like runs off into the water, and then
Mm.
it's just typical beach cuteness. But then you have just this dark cloud hovering in the form of Adam, and it's just like, and then it just gets progressively more and more
Yeah, because
tense.
Vivian asked Adam to help her with one of her straps on her
Yeah, and then things start
top.
really kicking into another gear. And then his like vent rant session before he and Pete really start, fighting each other and everything like that. I mean, it's almost it takes on this creepy tone, and then it takes on just this like, entitled like, because it's funny, like you don't get those signals from Viv at all.
Right. No.
He's
Like,
reading into
oh, I
something that he
knew.
wants to be there, but
Yeah,
that she hasn't. So I love just like her instant, just oh my gosh, this guy's an absolute creep compared to
yeah.
like the guy that I invited to come out here and like hang out with us.
Especially when he points out, I know you want me. I was
Yeah,
that night. I heard you. You were putting on
that was
a
when I was
performance
just
for
like,
me.
dude, you are
Like,
literally digging a hole. Look at her face.
yes.
You're scaring and horrifying the heck out of her right now, and you just sound creepy as all hell.
And then that's
Just
when Pete
you
comes
get
over.
it's really sad. So every time Pete like gets all like protective and just like like I appreciate like when he gets protective over his family and like throws a punch or whatever, but I have to say watching him punch even it rivals when he goes after Steve.
Yeah.
Just how satisfying it is to see him go after Adam in that moment, just after everything that Adam says and is spewing and all of that. It's just like, yes, Pete, just go and, attack dog mode.
And big props to Chad Duell because
Oh,
Chad
yeah.
Duell was the originator of this role. He's played it this entire season of season three.
Hmm.
Um, I just wish he had that kind of vibe in Port Charles and General Hospital. I put
Yeah. You
that part
know,
earlier.
I wish that like, there's a lot of like, you know, folks that are on the Bay. I mean, obviously there's a lot of soap overlap that happens, but you see the material that they get here, and then you just kind of look at other, and you just kind of wish that like that same level of, love and care could be applied. in terms of just the writing and the attention to detail and just like the character development that you
Kind of
get to
wish.
see.
See, here's the thing: is I kind of wish
Excuse me.
that the soaps had one universe where they could just trade people in and out, and that way it's like, and the whole
Big
work
multiverse, yeah.
right.
I'd be down for that.
This way you don't get tired of somebody on one soap. Like the only thing is that you'd have to have all the soaps be on the same type of, lag time, whereas you have days,
Yeah.
months ahead of time.
Yeah,
And
Days is the fly in the ointment there for sure because
you
they
need
film
to
what is it
literally
like
just,
6 or 7 months in advance, and
yeah,
it takes too long for stuff to turn around. If like fans are expressing displeasure with a storyline, you're not going to see that storyline change up until it just it takes it. And I know that they do that obviously for like cost effective and budget reasons and things like that, but it's to the detriment of the show because it's like you can't pivot if something isn't landing, you still are stuck with that until, and it can be a
yeah.
little frustrating. So
Well, it's
yeah.
like when they announced the new Abby, or if it is Abby or imposter or whatever, Annalyn McCord was coming on to Days. They announced it back in like February, and she just started airing last month.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They
And then
announced
yeah.
that Sammy was coming back, and she's not going to be airing until
Yeah,
March.
we're not going to see her until, and even like little like snippet, like sometimes you'll see actors post like little like Instagram like stories, things like that, like a little like behind the scenes things that look like a really cute, nice scene or something to look forward to. And
Yep.
you realize like, well, if they're filming this now, shooting this now, this little reel is airing today, we're not going to see this for, at least 5, 6 months.
Yeah.
So
So
it just, it's funny because at least with like the Bay, I mean, granted, I'm going back in and doing like the rewatching and stuff like that, but it's all there at your fingertips. I mean, yes, there is a little bit of time, but same with any streaming show where you're going to have like, you get through all the seasons that are available to you, and then you're just like, right, well, now I got to wait until they start
yeah.
airing new.
I
But,
don't know. Look, I think once we get to season 4 or 5, we might have to come back to one episode a week again.
yeah, just to parcel it out a little bit, maybe we should because, yeah, we'll be caught up and then, but, at least that more is coming and that like, you can, whereas I don't know, it's tricky. The whole soap, it's just it's all I feel like it's in flux and we're on the verge of like them trying to go in like different directions with the way that the shows are streamed or aired or but they sometimes they're going to stick to the old formulas and stuff like that too, and sometimes that's to their benefit and other times maybe not. I don't
No,
know.
you're exactly right. Um, I
But
don't
it is at least nice knowing that we've got, a few more seasons that we can just
know.
kind of, knock out, binge through with this show that we
And
know
they
are
should be
quality and we
releasing,
know are gonna, surpass our expectations. So
and they should be releasing season 8 soon for on demand. So,
yes, exactly.
and then
Exactly.
they'll be starting with season 9 on the lot on the weekly
Yeah.
show, daily shows on Popstar.
Yeah. There's just and even I've been seeing some press about the gates, them starting like, they have the writing team assembled for that and just a cast lined up and
They
things
announced
like
Greg Vaughn, or no, they didn't announce Greg Vaughn, but there are rumors circulating
yes.
Greg Vaughn may be in the gates.
I saw that too, and that's exciting because it's like new soap on the horizon, brand new kind of, airing in like, the traditional, it's just, that's going to be a bit of a game changer too. And it's
They
exciting to
have to
see.
put together an all-star team to at
Hmm.
least to start. Like I know it's going to focus on an African American family, and
Hmm.
but they have to flesh out that team as an all-star team, as
Oh
they're
yeah.
a great writing team.
Yep. I
Uh,
mean, I think that, you've got a really, solid, just even like, hearing about this like from the jump, from the get-go, it just sounded like, there's been a plan in place for a while. They know what they're doing. They know the genre. I'm excited for it. And it's refreshing and exciting to see another soap in the mix because we've just been having them getting taken away from us or, just quality decrease or just lack of. So, and knowing too that with Days, I mean, we are, with Ron Carlivati on his way out, we are anticipating a new writing team coming into the fold. It's not going to be until 2025, but curious to see what they're going to bring to the table and stuff like that too.
Mhm.
There's definitely a lot of, avenues that are getting pursued now, and there seems to be just, I like to think, interest in, the genre, at least, like, they're trying to, breathe some new life into it. So
Exactly. Yeah. Which would be
I
great.
need,
So,
yeah, we
you
need
know,
it because, I don't know. Soaps are a good escape. This show is a fun escape. I mean, I've been dealing with some crazy personal stuff lately, and it honestly is kind of fun to just go in and dissect these episodes again, knowing that I haven't seen them in a while,
yeah,
but just being able to just kind of switch gears and switch your brain off and just kind of like, or watch something and, just kind of get
yeah,
caught up in some good drama and some good acting. And, just that's what the whole purpose of these
exactly.
shows
And
are.
that's what we do is that we use soaps as an escape. You
Hmm.
know, it's and here's the thing: it's like, yes, we do a podcast about this show, but it's not like we take it seriously.
Right.
I mean, like,
I mean, we can discuss and we can analyze and we can, gush about like the acting prowess of
yeah,
like all these people on this show until the day is long, and it's so fun to do. But it's like it's nice knowing it's just, it's there and we can talk about it and we can, kind of, make light of it a little bit and just kind of enjoy the genre for what it is, in the
exactly,
spirit of which it's given, which is just, it's melodrama. It's
yeah,
fun. It's twisty. It's, it's good
yeah.
stuff.
It
Good
is,
stuff to kind of switch gears over to when you've had a tough day and you
as
think,
long as
well,
the
my
right.
life is not as complicated as Sarah Garrett's is right now. So that's
That is
good.
very true. Although pretty soon Sarah could be as free as you are, as free as we are. Um, you
I
know,
mean, Court is going exceptionally well, aside from her saying that she wants to take the stand herself, which, we knew we were going to get a scene like that. But, it's just so funny watching everyone just saying from the get go, like, don't do it. You got this in the bag. Everything's okay.
I
Because, I
have a
mean,
feeling.
Mickey's testimony, I
Yeah,
mean, that's jumping ahead a little bit, but I mean, and also it was in my notes. I thought the casting for young Mickey was dead on.
yes,
I made a note of that right away. Like I just something about that woman and just that the scene was brief, but I was
yeah,
just like, wow, they really nailed it with like young, that flashback sequence that they did. And it was so pivotal and it was such an
was
important moment. But, and I loved how they just kind of introduced her, even like showing up on the beach in disguise, talking to Tobin and everything like that. Like, just such a good twist with her kind of, being witness to all of this. I mean, you'd think that like with the Joe thing that would be enough, but then like the Mickey stuff on top of it, it's just like, yeah, okay. This
yeah.
is this is getting
And
interesting now.
the way that it turned out was that she was there with her mother and her,
Hmm.
I think it was her two kids,
Yeah, Chase, and
and
then
and
Kenneth, yes. And you see even then, like, Chase is just kind of like the kid that's sticking his tongue out, the kid that's
yeah,
being, kind of then you have Kenneth who seems like the golden child is just kind of even in that brief little sequence that you get, you just
yeah,
kind of see like, good brother, bad brother.
oh yeah. So then you go ahead and see them, and you like you're focusing so much on them. We as the viewer, at least me, I wasn't focusing on the background.
Mm-mm.
And
No.
the background is where Red is being killed or
Yeah.
held underwater.
You don't really even like up until because they do like kind of two sets of that flashback and
Right.
they show her like Mickey and like running with the kids away from the scene and then you see that stuff kind of playing out in the background more, but
Yeah.
yeah, in that first instance of it you're just paying attention to the fact that like this woman's trying to keep her kids in line so they can get a photo, like
Exactly.
you're not fixated on anything that's happening in the background. And it was funny too, well, but when they have Tobin talking with her on the stand and she just has to analyze the picture and the picture is dated, and I just love how you've got Brandon Beamer's character, you got Evan just trying his best to dissect even though he knows his case is sunk, he
Oh yeah.
knows at this point, but he is just like grasping at straws being just all like, you know oh, it's a faded photo, how can we
Yeah.
even be certain that that's a man in this photo, and how can we even be, it's like, oh dude, no,
Yeah.
you've lost at this point. And there were some good scenes too between him and John Blackwell,
Done. Yeah.
him and his dad. You've got that whole, it's so funny. It's like you can't have, John Blackwell has definitely like ratcheted down in intensity at the same time that Evan
But
and
more
even
physically than
Damien.
ever.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
like he's the one that set all this in motion,
Right?
He's like,
But
oh,
now he's just kind of like, dude, like, pull back a little bit. Like, but it's just like you can't have like more than one intense Blackwell on the scene at the
right.
same time. So it's like, okay, now we have to make John Blackwell the voice of reason, even though up until now he's been like, Mr. like, loose cannon,
Yeah,
intense, aggressive. Now it's like his son is taking up that helm and he's just trying to keep him in line. But it was just like, he had some pretty powerful, statement, just the last thing I want is for you to fail, but I guess we all learn by our mistakes. Like he knows
yeah,
that like, his son's fighting a losing battle at this point. But even Evan calls him out on like, you're the one who handed over the evidence and you're the one who's backpedaling. What, you're backpedaling now? Like what's going on? And, you
yeah,
got John Blackwell remorseful, wishing he hadn't. Now he just wants to do what's right. And his saying when he was DA, all he did was prosecute criminals, actual criminals. And but it's just so funny seeing that father son relationship. And then you have Damien too, who's still all like Romeo and Juliet about the whole thing. I'm tired of the warring families.
yeah, yeah. Which makes sense. I mean, theoretically, they're all part of the same family.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
it's like with the fact that John and Sarah are brother and sister,
right.
they're technically part of the Garrett clan by
Hmm.
marriage or whatever, because obviously
Right.
Sarah is no, Sarah is a Garrett by blood. It's because Jack's ex-wife was a Garrett.
Yes.
So
Yes.
then yeah, because then all right, that makes more sense. It's still convoluted.
It's still, I tell you, we got to make that family tree, you know,
Yeah.
just to
Maybe
keep
that's what we
everything
should
straight.
do for one episode between seasons. Maybe between seasons 3 and 4. We'll
Yeah.
do an entire family tree episode.
Who's who in Bay City?
Yes, exactly.
Figure it
Yeah,
all out.
there we
Because,
go.
yeah, there
Moving
is,
city.
some of the family connections. And I mean, they do introduce characters so seamlessly on this show, and they really do make you, like, curious about them and, like, then really develop a story for them in the following season, usually. I mean, but it is kind of, when they bring them in, it's almost just like you got to do the mental math to kind of figure out, okay,
Yes.
no, wait a minute, they're connected to who and how does this all?
Yeah.
But still the way they go about it, it's very, it's a testament to the writing because it's like even characters that are just kind of like, just dragged in like loosely and like a little side piece. Who would have thought that Mickey would be the one with the most pivotal kind of cliffhangers the last couple
Right.
of episodes?
Yeah. So,
I'm looking at my notes though. I mean, because I mean, there was still we had some other kind of sequences with Liv or with Liana and
yeah.
obviously with Janice too.
Yeah.
I mean,
But let's
there's a
kind of
lot going
go on.
on.
The next bigger story was Nathan goes into the bar
Hmm.
and
Nathan as well.
talks
Yeah.
to the bartender who happens to be Joe's brother, which I didn't
Yes.
realize
Yep.
until
Brad, I believe is his
yeah.
name. Yeah.
And Nathan brings up everything, and he goes, "I'm kind of shocked that you don't hate me," and she's like,
Right.
"Well, she lied on the stand. She's got one coming to her, and that's all there is to it."
Hmm. I mean, he writes kind of it's funny with Nathan, because we talk about these characters all having like different like shades of gray. I mean, even he's just like, yeah, your sister lied on the stand, I'm gonna report that and what I'm writing about is like, bottom of the barrel, like, gossip column crap,
Yeah,
but I'm at least gonna draw attention to the fact that she did something that was wrong.
yeah,
Just because but but then you have, on the same note, Nathan deciding to go ahead and publish what's probably the scuzziest, piece that he's done yet,
yeah,
which, okay, it's like I understand, you're trying to like, Bay City expose on like, someone lying under oath in court, fine. But
yeah.
the article that he does actually, end up publishing, with, after and Zoe's reaction is just completely like so completely
Oh yeah,
exactly what everybody is thinking. What is the purpose of this? And he keeps on saying it's like, I don't know, it just felt a little bit like he's laying it on thick. He's like, it's gonna like break the internet, all of this stuff. And it's just talking about women who were victimized by a rapist. It's like, dude, like this is not gonna, obviously it does turn stuff on its head, but the way that he's talking about it, it's like, oh, this is just this big, dirty, dark sea. It's like, no, dude, you're just being a creep.
yeah. I want to see what Tamara thinks when she sees that story.
Right? Exactly. I mean, and just that when they show just everyone's kind of, they show Will and Liana. Oh, and Will and Liana, some super sweet moments between the two of them, if we're talking like little coupley bits, just her, just the two of them just kind of having their heart to heart was super
Yeah,
sweet, I thought. When,
just
she's,
pillow talk. It was just, getting it out there about,
hmm
you know, that they're really in a relationship now, and
hmm No, just very, like, she's trying to just turn everything around and change. And he says, I've been seeing you do that, and I know you've been doing that, and it's not all on me. And it was a lovely kind of, moment, but then you just, of course, you can't live in that happiness forever. So, of course, she has to see the article come through and then immediately goes right to Janice. And that scene, oh my goodness, when she just walks into the office and just hugs Janice and just goes like, shh, it's okay, and just strokes her hair. Like,
like
their
that's
mother-daughter
it's
chemistry
a
is
very
just
a
through.
very strange dynamic because it's a complete opposite of when Liana saw Lee get killed, and Janice was
hmm
very distant.
Uh-huh. Yep. No, it was just such a
Oh,
powerful little moment. You just think of like the trajectory that these two characters have been on and like this
yeah,
journey and where they are now versus where they were at the start. It's wild. It's wild to see it. You've got like Liana almost being like, well, in a way, kind of being the grown up. And she's kind of had to do that, previously, I'm assuming, with Janice, but just kind of being the one to reassure her, stroking her hair, being like, it's okay, it'll be okay. But oh my goodness, you want to punch Nathan in the face when you see the look on
yeah,
Janice's,
yeah,
for just rooting all that up again. Because even with Janice, she's still having like, the episode, what it opened with her, in the wedding dress, looking so beautiful, exchanging
yeah,
vows, and then all of a sudden it just switches to nightmare when Pete's rejecting her, and then it
yeah,
just all goes downhill from there.
yeah.
And she also has that confrontation
With Vivian,
with Vivian and calls her a little girl, which,
yeah,
to be, I understand, like, Vivian wanting to support her husband in court and also,
yeah.
but also, honey, you
It's
signed
a
up for
job.
this job and you're backing out and you just start and all of a sudden you're saying you want to
And
take a
not to
week
mention,
off.
yeah, and not to mention, it's like when you have, especially in that world, when you have, the photographer already scheduled,
Right.
and you have a deadline
You're
on
the face of
yeah,
the new line and you
yep,
just decide, oh, I just want to delay all of this a week, guys. Like, that's
yeah,
asking a lot, hun, you
yeah,
know?
no, that does not work. And yeah, so it's like I have to say that's a rare, well, it just shows how uh inexperienced Vivian
Yeah.
in
No,
that
it
world.
does. It does. And Vivian's coming not from a place of I just want to take a week off just because I feel
Yeah,
like it. I mean, she genuinely wants to support her husband while his, mother is going through a murder trial. I mean, it totally, but it with
but
the
again,
just the
yeah,
way that she just kind of presents it to Janice, it's like, oh, no, no, that will
yeah,
not work.
I'm
And Janice
trying,
tells her as much. She says,
yeah,
I'm going to get Tamara because at least she's happy to be here and
yeah,
wants to be here.
yeah.
So,
And then
you
the
know,
one Vivian calls me and says, "Oh yeah, I arranged to have the week off."
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
you better be lucky you have a job to go back to.
Exactly, exactly. No, it's just kind of, but yeah, no, but just those scenes, like I appreciate just like the layers, because you got
Yeah,
like, she's still, given her dream at the beginning, still has feelings for Pete that she has to bury in, alcohol and pills, and then
I think she's kind
it's
of
like all these things flashing
right,
back and bombarding her, and you
but I don't
just
think she has the vendetta against Vivian at this
no,
point. I
no,
think that's kind of past that ulterior motive or whatever, because the scene it could have been a lot worse if Janice had said something. Does your husband know that you're,
yeah.
screwing up work or whatever? I think, he would
Yeah, I think that that's
want
kind
you
of
to be,
second. It's not as focused for her as it previously would have been. The whole Pete thing, but
yeah,
just in general, you can tell that she's just trying to bury everything that's gone on, and it just keeps on getting uprooted in the worst ways. And like
yeah,
now, it's like she has to deal with Vivian, and then that reminds her of Pete, and then she has to deal with this article, and then that has to remind her of her rape, and it's just like the woman cannot win.
yeah.
Woman cannot have
So
a win.
yeah, so it's it was tough, and then having to find out about, the fact that her name was published and everything.
Exactly. Exactly. And Nathan and Orchid, I mean,
Oh my
funny
God,
as
those scenes were
uh
fantastic.
they're fantastic, but funny as they are, you also just want to punch both of them, even though
Yeah.
like they have, because I mean the one-liners and just like the quick back and just Terry Ivans, man, I tell
Oh,
you,
he's
I
got a decent bone, but it's normally inside me.
yeah, like
Like that was
just that.
I
Oh,
busted out laughing at that
I
line.
did. How can you not? I mean, just the delivery there and the way she says it, and then just like everything about the two of them, they're funny as hell, but
Yeah,
you also hate them in that moment because it's just like you're
they
just
are the
gloating in the
villain couple. Like
yes,
they are the
yes,
villain couple of the show, and it's not to the point of they're not doing anything illegal. They're just
right.
causing trouble.
Yes, they're
They're the
causing trouble and they're just and as like you feel for like you're Zoe in that moment. You're just
yeah,
looking at them and you're just repulsed by them because it's just like, they're just but my gosh, no, the chemistry between the two of them and that the three of them just in that scene in general was just so good. Those lines were so good. I
yeah.
mean, just but
But it's like Zoe has always had the vendetta against Nathan from the very beginning because it's just he has a different idea of what journalism is.
mhm. Yeah.
Compared to she wants to.
No, it's all sensationalism
Yeah,
to him and like what's going to get the most clicks, what's going to get the most attention, what's going to get the most,
yep.
he doesn't, and then you got Zoe who actually like, works for a publication and is trying to dig for the truth and very different,
Oh yeah.
extremely different worldviews when it comes to that. But, like he's like saying like this article is going to blow the town apart. And then she's like, do you, like you can't put people's personal life online. It's in, just like her saying like you disgust me, it's like yeah, yeah, but then like even I think it was like Zoe or Orchid and Nathan were just kind of like they were mocking Zoe at the end, you disgust me, well you disgust me too, and it's just like you don't like them, they're annoying, but you
Yep.
also love them in that because they're just so funny. It's just it was really those scenes were something else.
Yeah, they really were. Let's see, what else do we have to go over?
Yeah, I'm looking through my notes here. Um, you got a lot of just, more of like the Adam and Pete just kind of, I mean, we do touch on
Right.
the fact that like they do end in like their brawl, but, all of his dialogue, everything that he is spouting off, just,
Yeah.
and how it escalates, on the beach, and then it just carries over into the next episode too, where it's just like, Pete saying like the only reason that you're here is because of the trial. When trial's done, you get the fuck out of my face. I don't want to see you again, which is understandable given the fact that like the last time they were beating the living hell out of each other for good reason.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and
Adam deserved all of that.
it looks like, and we know if you're someone that watches the Bay, in future seasons, this, you know, rivalry comes to a head.
Hmm.
And it looks to me like the Pete Adam rivalry is going to be one that's going to, carry the show for a couple of seasons.
I mean, you've got just there's some interesting stuff that like definitely kind of unfolds between the two of them. But here in like this, just his pursuit, I will say, like his thinking that Vivian is into him. I mean, we kind of see it, but also
Yeah.
just like when he's laying it out there, it's like, really?
Well,
You've been taking that from
yeah.
like everything that
She's
it,
been friendly towards him, but not
yeah, like
interested romantically.
right. And I'm sorry, like listening in on a couple together and assuming that like that somehow translates to her being interested in you. Like no, like
No,
uh
that was beyond creepy.
yes,
Um,
like just like
yeah,
giving I can give her what she's been asking for, just it's just like no, just stop it. You
yeah,
creep. When Pete calls him a fucking snake, it's like, yes, that's the way we feel about you too, man.
exactly. Yep,
Like,
yep,
yeah, you can't take that your mom's a criminal and your wife wants to fuck me, and it's just like it escalates so hard in that moment, and then like hiding behind your fake family, all of this stuff, and then like I love Pete and just protective mother, like if I catch you near my wife, you're gonna break your effing neck, and just
yeah.
but Adam looks up with like the creepiest kind of like satisfied
Smile.
smile,
Yeah,
which just it's like
that's
it's
creepier than Steve because Steve
yes,
didn't even
yes.
show a smile when he got punched.
I mean,
You know?
heck,
Yeah.
the last time, like, he's definitely taken like the creepy mantle away from Steve, at
And
least
like I
temporarily.
said, it just wants you, it just, at least for me, it wants me to find out more about how Adam was raised and how
Right.
he got to this point.
Right. And
Obviously,
Tobin, like, what kind
yeah,
of, Tobin has made some interesting choices, clearly, in
yes.
terms of parenting of his children and his sons and how all of that has kind
I
of
mean,
gone down.
we don't know if it was his choice or not. Remember
We,
when this whole season started, the flashback showed that Arthur Tobin was being pushed out of the tent where, you know,
mhm.
Sara was giving birth. So did he know that
Yeah.
she had twins? Were they
It's
kidnapped
just,
or like
it's
we don't
a whole thing. Yeah. And, honestly, I am fuzzy on the details. Like, I really can't remember specifically how it all shakes out, but I do know that, like, it's so ambiguous at this point. But you're just like looking at, like, okay, Tobin, you clearly,
yeah.
I don't know what happened with Adam, but clearly the
Although
boy has
I'm
got some
sorry,
issues.
but they could have gotten somebody completely different to play either young or old. Because Robert Scott Wilson looks nothing like the guy they have playing but now.
I mean,
I'm
if you,
sorry.
yeah,
You could
I
suspend disbelief only so far.
I was applauding the casting for young Mickey. I can honestly say I don't necessarily. I mean, Robert Scott Wilson, cool as hell that he's on the Bay,
Yeah.
Mr. like, but because he's like kind of run the gamut. I remember watching him on the All My Children, reboot that they tried to do when he was playing like a shirtless, non-nerdy version of Pete Cortland.
Yeah.
I remember him from that, and then obviously Days and everything like that. Cool that he's managed to kind of, but casting, I don't see it.
Yeah.
I
I'm
don't
sorry.
see it, but he
The
does,
the young Sarah looked like Sarah somewhat, and we can only see her from the back.
yeah, yeah, a little bit. There's a slight resemblance there, but yeah, with young, I think they just honestly, the dude looks really good with his shirt off, so let's just capitalize on that. Italian stallion, he can fit that bill. We can, we can suspend the resemblance isn't necessarily there, but we can, put that
Not
aside.
that I necessarily want to add more to Wiley Kurth's already full plate. I could see Wiley Kurth play Tobin and actually have some type of resemblance to.
Oh yeah. No, that I could see that too, actually. Now that you mention it, it didn't occur to me until you just said it, but yeah, definitely.
So I mean, again, they play father and son on days anyways, but
And hey, that would be funny as heck having him play a lawyer on another show.
exactly.
Just kind of translate him over,
Yeah,
defending, oh man, that would be worlds colliding in a fun way. That's all that's what cracks me up about like, just seeing like the crossover casting and stuff like
oh
that
yeah,
because it's just, yeah. No, definitely. Looking through, I'm trying to think if we are missing or we didn't touch on any because there was still, I mean, these episodes were jam-packed. I'm just trying to make sure we didn't overlook anything. We got Will and Liana, Nathan, talked about that.
yeah,
Yeah. Talks about, the Adam weirdness and all of that.
yeah.
And yeah,
I think we
I
covered just
mean,
about
I
everything.
think we did. I think we got, kind of through everything. I mean, you got Adam. I just loved how he's like back, Mr. like one-liners, like good one for Mama Dukes or whatever, and then Pete just said, "Get the fuck out of here, you piece of shit." That just made me laugh. I just like, yep, you're speaking for all of us here, guy.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I think
No, but then and even like, next set episodes, not next week, but the following week when we
right
discuss those, we're gonna have a lot to tackle there too, because we're gonna, get into
season
Sarah's
finale,
story,
right?
finale, all that good stuff, start wrapping up kind of the court stuff and hopefully shed some more light on, I don't
Yes.
know, Tobin and all the ambiguity that we got going on there. Like
Oh,
why your son is such a freak.
exactly. Uh, so yeah, no, it's gonna be a fun ride as we go through, the
Absolutely.
last two episodes of the season. Um, not next week,
Not
which
next week.
I've got to check my calendar. But not next week, but on Tuesday the 17th, um, that's when we're gonna be able to, go further.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's what we'll do is between seasons 3 and 4, we're gonna go ahead and do a deep dive on the Garrett family tree.
Yep.
You
We
know,
should
and
make a PowerPoint or something, get
either a
official with this.
PowerPoint or some type of graphic to put on here. Absolutely, we will go over and we'll go ahead and do that.
For
Um,
sure. Just to
so
keep
that'll
everybody
be
straight, keep track of everybody. Because,
yeah,
this show brings in a lot of cool characters into the fold, and we just want to make sure we're, treating them, like making sure we know where everybody goes.
exactly. Also, I do want to announce. I want to say thank you very much because the GOAT, the greatest of all time, John Cena, actually followed the Suds and Squirt Circle Twitch page today. Uh,
Really? Oh, that's
yes.
awesome.
So now
So
we're
cool.
followed by John Cena. We're followed by R-Truth, Ron Killings, Natty, Natalia Neidhart, and Karrion Cross in terms of WWE superstars. Um, I've yet to get, I'm working on trying to get Maurice Bernard to follow us. I've had
Oh,
some
yeah.
interactions with him thanks to State of Mind posts. But, it'd be great to have him follow us as well. But we do Michael Fairman follows us. He's a big time soap columnist, journalist. Um, and he actually replied to our post about the Suds the March Madness that we did. And that was a cool concept. So we'll do that again next year. Um,
And I believe we have our, fearless leader of the show, Gregory Martin, who's,
yeah, I believe so. Gregory Martin does follow the Suds and Squared Circle. And by the way, folks, as you know, as you could probably tell, we've been working through a rebranding. I've been working through a rebranding. I'm not doing Suds and the Squared Circle podcast anymore. It's Suds and Squared Circle Media, and all of our shows are under the one umbrella. That's why the new website is suds-media.com. That's why the YouTube is now youtube.com/@suds-media. The Twix account is now @Suds Media. Um, and I'm working through everything else, trying to rebrand it. Facebook is not, for some reason, not letting me change it yet. I put it up,
oh, Facebook.
with them. But yeah, so that's what we're kind of doing is working through a rebranding. It's still us. We finally got the blue check mark back on Twix because we changed the name, so they have to review the name. But yeah, so that's where we're sitting with at that. We hope that as we move forward with our shows and more shows here on Suds and Squirt Circle Media, we want to be the escape from the world that we're living in, the fact that everything is so polarizing. And I did put out a post about it last month that as a show, as a network, as a group, media group, we are not endorsing either one of the candidates for president because everybody is allowed to have their own personal choice. And I don't, we don't want to get political.
No.
Like I
But we
said,
want to talk about our shows and we want to talk about, just the shows bring people together,
yeah, we
shows
want to be
can,
that escape.
yep.
Um, you know,
Everyone kind of needs that
we'll
and
talk
soaps
about,
are able to provide it. So,
yep, we'll spotlight certain topics like we did last night. The first hour was dedicated to just representation in soaps. So I recommend going out and checking that. The podcast version will be up tomorrow. I didn't get a chance to do it today. But yes. So we want to be your escape. We will touch on very important topics. We will not go into politics on this show or any of the shows under our umbrella because we want to be escapes. And not to mention, everybody's entitled to their own political viewpoint without judgment, persecution, whatever. So, um, as those church announcements come down the end, we hope that you go ahead and hit that like button,
yes,
subscribe, and
please.
turn on those notifications so that anytime something gets posted on our YouTube page, you get notified so you can go over and watch it or react to it. Leave us comments. Um, and if you're not in the chat room, go ahead and just react to the chat because that
Yeah,
helps the algorithm as well. If you're
definitely.
on a podcast app, hey, give us a 5-star review, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts, because we want to grow the network. We want to find sponsors. And you know what? I'm going to be completely transparent about that. I want to thank everybody. We finally hit 100 subscribers here on YouTube. Let's get to that 500 milestone.
Yep.
So share and share alike, get people to come watch these shows on this network. And with that said, Kim, do you have anything to add?
I think we touched on just about everything, and I'm looking forward to being able to. I mean, we're gonna have a little break next week,
Yeah.
but then we can dive right back in and then finish off this season and then just dive headlong into the next. There's a lot of good content, a lot of good stuff to come, and I'm looking forward to being able to chat about it with you.
Yes, I completely agree. We have a lot of stuff coming up. So,
Yep.
so for Kim, I'm Vinny. We will see you not next week, in 2 weeks. Dockside at the